Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to make Potjiekos, in other words little pot food. Starting off with onions. Got a bit of oil heating up in the pot there. Normally just preserve the pot, keep it rust free by coating it with some oil. Just use a cloth, a bit of oil, and also a little bit of rice in there keeps the moisture out so that it doesn't rust. So that's the first part. We're going to chop up a couple of onions to put in there. So this is how I always test the oil. Just put one piece in there. Once that starts cooking, you can chuck the rest of the onions in. Then the pot is hot enough. So there we go, that's the first onion done. My stirring machine. And we're going to cook those until they're nice and brown. So, chuck the rest of the onions in the pot. No tears this time, amazingly enough. Onions always make a good base. They give the food a nice flavour. I always like to start off with onions. Get those going first, and the rest follows later. So my next ingredients: chicken fillets, bacon, smoked bacon, and Spanish chorizo. I don't get the hot chorizo because that I find is too spicy. Chorizo on its own is spicy enough. So we're going to add these ingredients next. Again, we're going to just put chicken in there and brown it. Onions are starting to get brown now. So there goes the chicken. Start browning that. In the meantime, unpack the rest of the meat. Bacon, I'm going to slice that up. And chorizo I'm going to slice up as well. Sometimes I keep some of this in the freezer in case I want to make a potjie. One tip is take these bits of metal off if you're going to defrost it in the microwave, because they can cause a bit of arcing. So there goes the bacon into the pot. Just chuck it in, mix it up with the chicken. Always keep an oven glove handy in case I need to hold the edge of this pot to hold it still. You can cook this on the fire, easier to do on the stove though, on the gas cob. There we go, the chicken's starting to cook on the outside now, getting all that flavour in there. Next, chorizo. So there's my chorizo all chopped up. That's going in the pot next. That's all my meat sorted now. Nothing like a bit of Spanish sausage in the food. Gives it a nice flavour. Adds a bit of spice. At this point you can add a little bit of water in there so it doesn't dry out too much. I'll just turn this over a bit to get it to brown slightly. And also a little bit of beer gives it a nice flavour. I normally just chuck a bit of beer in there as well. Next, our spices are going in there. Bay leaves. I must say these spices have gone up in price. They've almost doubled in price in the last year or so, but that's Brexit for you. Put about 4 or 5 of them in there. That gives the meat a nice flavour. Cloves, whole cloves. I love cloves. That also gives it a good flavour. I put about 6 in there. I've experimented putting more in there before, but it's just too strong, the flavour there. 6 is just right. A bit of barbecue spice. About a teaspoon or so. And then finally some black pepper. And then once I drain all the liquid out of there, just when the stuff is ready to make gravy, I'll just use a bit of gravy granules to mix with it, gives it a nice flavour. So you can also put potatoes in here. Didn't actually buy potatoes today. And your vegetables as well, you can layer those on top. I'm going to just give this another stir to get the spices mixed in there. It's already smelling nice. That chorizo and that smoked bacon, that gives it a lovely flavour. So that's it. After this, no more stirring, just layer up your vegetables on top. I may just open, I've got cans of potatoes. Speaking of beer, cheers. Got to taste it first. There we go, drizzle a bit of beer on that. Don't want to put too much, otherwise I won't have any to drink. I'm going to put some tomatoes and some butternut that I left over from previous meal. And then I think I'll put some potatoes in later. You just layer the vegetables on top. Then all the flavour from the meat comes through the vegetables and vice versa. Gives it a really nice flavour. I was going to say about the gravy, also sometimes just use a stock cube to mix with the gravy. Give it a bit of extra flavour. That's the one that I forgot, coriander. I've just got it in an old salt grinder. Whole coriander, just put a touch of that in there. Right, there's my butternut. Started chopping it up. You can either dice it or slice it into bits like that to layer on top to cover up the meat. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to cover the meat with the stuff. That's just what I had left over. Tomatoes are going in there next, and then I've got some potatoes. I'll put those in when this stuff is almost cooked. The butternut will soften up anyway once I get the lid on there. So next I'm just going to chuck in 6 or 8 of these small tomatoes. So tomatoes sliced in half. Chuck them on top. Here's my mixing spoon gone. I ain't mixing the stuff, just spreading it out. Because at this point you're just layering stuff on top. And I think I'll just put a little bit of extra water in there so it doesn't dry out too much. Now the lid's going on there, and I'll just leave that to simmer for about an hour to an hour and a half. Right, here we go. Potjie is coming on nicely. That's after about an hour or so since I started cooking. Gonna chuck my spuds on top. I may open another can actually, because that may not be enough for 2 or 3 people. Whatever's left over, I normally have it for my lunch the next day anyway. So I'm going to leave that for another 20 minutes or so, and it should be, whoa, that's hot. Should have picked that up with the oven mitt. That should be done in about 20 minutes or so. Meat will be nice and tender and juicy, tasty. I decided to go with sweet corn instead of more potatoes. Discovered I still had this can stashed away, so there we go. Just lob that in there, and that will give it a nice bit of sweet flavour. And we layer that on top, not stirring, just spreading the stuff. Give that another 20 minutes, you're ready to eat. Right, here we are. Food is now done. Let's check it out. Stuff is all steamed on the top. So what I'm going to do is to pour off the liquid into this bowl where I've got my gravy granules. Try and keep that sweet corn from escaping there. That's going to give our gravy lots of flavour. Heavy this pot, more ways than one hot, and heavy in weight. There we go. So there it is. Instant gravy. I have a feeling I need to nuke this for a few minutes in the microwave. The liquid's probably not quite hot enough for this. Tasty gravy. Oh no, it's just thickening up. There we go, now we're getting there. I'm not going to add a stock cube this time. There's plenty of flavour from all that meat, that chorizo, the smoked bacon, all that. So just to show you what it's looking like underneath. Onions have all disappeared, but they do give it flavour. That's all your chicken and so on. Chicken, bacon, chorizo, some tomatoes. Of course the bay leaves you don't eat, just chuck those out. Just for flavour. So this is what it's looking like cooked. Dishing up now. Hopefully soon I'll have some fresh vegetables from the garden to add when I do the next pot. But I thought I'll just share that with you, how I do my potjie. You can use any type of meat in there. You don't have to put meat in there, it can just be vegetables. It's up to you if you're vegan or vegetarian. But this chicken, I tell you, nice, succulent, tender. So that's the potjie pot. Hope that you enjoyed this video, and look forward to doing another one. And until then, hope that you all stay safe and well. And from me, it's bye bye for now.